a month, you get exclusive content from me. I am more open over there than I am here, and I share my thoughts a little bit more on cases over there than I do here. We have polls, and you can vote on the content you want to see. If you're interested, I would love to have you. So, for tonight's case, we are going to be discussing Brandon Swanson. Now, Brandon Swanson's case is a lot similar to Brandon Lawson's case, where these men just disappear under bizarre circumstances. They just vanish in like desolate places with no evidence whatsoever. So, I covered Brandon Lawson on my Patreon. I also have another video I covered over there, but Brandon Lawson's video is going up tomorrow. So if you're interested again, if you're interested and you want to see that, I'd love to have you over there. But on the case of Brandon Swanson, he was born Brandon Victor Swanson, born on January 30th, 1989, to Brian and Annette Swanson. He had a younger sister, and they were raised in Marshall, Minnesota, which is a rural town. There are 4 main roads that go into this town, and this will later come up, so that's why I'm kind of telling you. Brandon attended Marshall High School, and he graduated in 2007. He had a great childhood, very loving parents, and he came from a very close family. He was a friendly guy, and he made friends very easily. He was described as extremely intelligent, and he began reading at a very young age. He was kind of like a bookworm. He always had a book in his hand. He was a very advanced toddler. He did things early. He was very interested in science, and his interest in science led him to enroll in Minnesota Technical College. And he went to the Canberra campus, about 30 miles north of Marshall. And he was in a program where they study wind he was in a program where they study wind energy, and he did very well. He truly enjoyed it, and he was planning to transfer to the Iowa West Community College after he finished his first year. Okay, so on May 2008, Brandon was finishing his first year. He was truly excited about the way that things were going in his life. And on May 13th, it was the last day of classes. And there were a lot of parties going on that night. Brandon decided to go to a party hosted by one of his friends in the town of Lind. It was really more like a get-together. There were only about like 5 to 7 people there. So he hangs out with his friends, and he leaves around 10:30 p.m. or 11, and he goes to a friend's house in Canby. And this friend was getting ready to leave, so he really wanted to go tell this friend goodbye. And sometime after midnight, he gets into his green Chevy sedan 65. Now, this was normally a 30-minute drive from Canby to Marshall. Brandon was very familiar with these roads. He took them to go to school because, his classes were in Lind. I'm sorry, guys. His classes were in Canby. And about at 1:54 p.m., about 1:54 p.m., his parents get a call from Brandon telling them that his car is stuck in a ditch and he needs them to come help them. Now they're thinking that this is going to be a really quick trip because it shouldn't have took that long. He, tells them he's stranded and he needs them to come and get him. So, let's go over. He actually called several different friends, but none of them answered, and so he had to call his parents to come and pick him up. It was very late, and he couldn't get any of his friends. Now, when Brandon called his parents, he was very specific, saying he was on a gravel road past a golf course, and this back road goes from Lind to Marshall, and Marshall is 8 miles from Lind. His parents, they get up there thinking this is gonna be a quick thing, and the problem was they didn't know exactly where Brandon was. So they told him, to just stay there, they're coming. He tells his parents, I'm on this back road in the middle of nowhere, and he says he's just surrounded by fields. He thought he was somewhere between Marshall and Lind, and this is only 10 minutes from his house. So his parents are driving around and they can't find him anywhere. For whatever reason, he couldn't tell them, his exact location. All he knows is he's on this gravel road, stuck in a ditch, surrounded by fields. It's dark. There's really no street lights or street signs or landmarks. He just sees fields. That, didn't help him know where he was. So his parents are at a spot where they thought Brandon was, and they're like, it's really dark. We're gonna flash our lights and let us know if you can see them. So they're flashing their lights back and forth, and he can't see them. He's flashing his lights back and forth, and they don't see him either. They could hear Brandon, that's how they knew he was flashing his lights, is because they could hear him flashing his lights back and forth. But they could not see each other. And Brandon at this point is getting super frustrated. And he tells his parents, I'm just gonna walk back to Lind. They're all frustrated and it's late, and at some point him and his mom kind of snap at each other. And Brandon hangs up. She calls back to apologize, and she's like, look, it's really late. I'm tired. I'm sorry, So his dad at 2:17 a.m. Sorry, I want to give y'all a specific time. 2:17 a.m. tells Brandon that he's gonna take his mom home, and he'll come back and find him he's like riding these back roads looking for him, but he's nowhere to be found. He stays on the phone with Brandon for 47 minutes, and he could not find him anywhere in this 47 minutes. He's riding around, and he cannot find him anywhere. At 3:10 a.m., Brandon said he could see some lights in the distance, and he thought he was almost to land. As he's walking, he's kind of navigating his dad, saying he sees fences and lights and he could hear running water. He tells his dad, "I'm about back to Lynn. I'm gonna cut through this field. Meet me at the Linwood Tavern." So he's still on the phone with his dad, and then all of a sudden he hears Brandon yell, "Oh, shit," before the call abruptly ends. Brian begins frantically calling his son back, but he never gets an answer. So this will be the last time anyone ever heard from Brandon Swanson. The Swansons tried to find him all night. They kept calling his phone, thinking he just dropped it. It would light up, and they thought if they kept calling, he would eventually find it and answer. But unfortunately, that never happened. They called his friends and got some of them to help search in the fields, but by the time the sun came up, they still could not find Brandon. So they called police, and at 6:30 a.m., the Lyons Sheriff Department received a call from the Swansons. Right away, police didn't think that Brandon's case was suspicious, which I don't know why, because he's a missing boy in the woods. Like, most police departments will be out searching for him. There was no damage to Brandon's car, and nothing to indicate that Brandon had been injured. The part of the car that was stuck in a deep spot in the frame, was kind of stuck down in the mud. Now, Brandon had tried to put the car in drive, and he'd also tried to put it in reverse to kind of get himself out. An extensive search around Brandon's car was done, but nothing turned up. There was no blood. There was no evidence of a struggle. Nothing. Nobody knew. This was another problem. Nobody knew which direction that Brandon had gone in, so they didn't know where to head towards to search. When he was walking, he said he questions than answers. So, this was extremely hard because they have his car. They have, they're like, what's going on? They don't have any sign of Brandon. I mean, nothing is ever turned up. Not his phone, not a piece of clothing, nothing. Now, Brandon's car was near the town of Porter, even though Brandon was saying he could see Lind. And this town was 25 miles away. There was no way Brandon could have walked to Lind in the time that he was on the phone with his dad. Police believe he was just confused and he could have made it straight home on Highway 68. So we don't know why he even turned off of the highway, but police say that it indicates he really misjudged the roadway, and this is how he just turned off and got stuck accidentally. Why was he even on this little back road though? Why did he turn off? Now, there's a possibility that Brandon had been drinking and he was trying to take all these back roads so he could avoid getting pulled over and getting a DUI. After speaking to people Brandon had been with that night, they found out Brandon had had about 4 beers and 1 shot of whiskey, but his friends insisted that he was not intoxicated. His parents said he did not sound intoxicated when they talked to him. Police brought in a canine that picked up Brandon's scent in the car, and it followed it south down the road about a half mile before turning on another road and heading west, and then following it for about another mile. And he almost reached Highway 68, but instead turned down County Road 16 and then went north, and then turned on the highway of an abandoned farm and ended up on the bank of the Yellow Medicine River. The dog jumped into the water, but it came right back out, and then headed northeast and hit on a patch of trees. And this is where he lost Brandon's scent. The fact that the dog went into the river and came right back out suggested that maybe Brandon fell in but was able to get back out. It could also be very possible that he drowned, and maybe this is why he said when he fell into the river was searched thoroughly and he was never found. The road where the dog lost his scent had been regraded, and this could be why the dog lost his scent. It is possible something happened to Brandon there and his body was taken from the area. The Swansons were extremely upset about the way that Brandon's case was handled. They believe that the delay in search is why Brandon is still missing to this day. The year after Brandon went missing, they lobbied to set a new law for missing persons, and it changes the way that these cases are handled. It's called Brandon's Law. It requires Minnesota police to immediately begin searching for adults that go missing at any age. It has been 18 years since Brandon went missing, and there's still no answers. he was taken from the area, or he got into a car, and that's why the dog lost his scent when he hit this branch of trees. However, Brandon yelling, "Oh," kind of points towards him falling in the river, or possibly just tripping, and maybe he couldn't find his phone because he is legally blind in one eye. Another theory is that he was attacked or killed in this area. However, I feel like if he had been attacked or killed in this area, they would have found evidence of a struggle, blood, something. Maybe because of Brandon being legally blind in one eye, it probably kind of messed up his depth perception, and I think that he probably misjudged where he was at, and he could have been like walking along and just not even realized how close he was to the water and just fell in. But the sheriff said that for like 6 months after Brandon went missing, he walked along the banks of the river and he never found anything. He never found a cell phone or anything. So I find it kind of strange that, nothing ever washed up, not his clothing, his cell phone, nothing if he fell in this river. Now, another theory is that he got out of the river and the temperatures were really cold that night, and so he could have gotten hypothermia or just succumbed to the elements, and that is why he has never been found. I'm really thinking that he succumbed to the elements. That is my theory. I would love to hear y'all's below. Y'all always come up with really good theories, and I love to hear them. So, Brandon's parents, the night that he went missing, left their porch light on, thinking that Brandon would, he was walking home and that he would eventually just get home. But he never did. And they have left their porch light on every night since as a sign of hope that someday Brandon will come home. Brandon was 5'5". He weighed about 120 to 130 pounds. He had brown hair and blue eyes. He was last seen wearing baggy blue jeans, a blue striped polo shirt, black hooded zip front sweatshirt with an emblem on the back, a white mountain baseball cap, his glasses, and a sterling silver chain. He was carrying his black Motorola cell phone, his wallet with his identification, and his car and house keys. If you have any information in Brandon's case, remember, no detail is too small, and you can remain completely anonymous. Please help give this family some closure by calling the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department at 1507-694-1664. Now, I got onto the Find Brandon Swanson Facebook page, and there have been searches. They still do searches in hopes that they will find something. There are a lot of theories in this case. Like I said, I truly believe that Brandon succumbed to the elements and unfortunately has not been found. A lot of people believe that foul play was involved, but there's nothing to point towards this really. Again, I'd love to hear your theories below. Leave me any cases you want to see below. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Be sure